Hi guys, today we're going to start one of my favorite things in the whole wide world, and that is to work with fractions. Now I know some of you are thinking, what is the matter with this guy? Fractions are so much easier than decimals. Once you understand how they work, which really isn't that complicated, but once you understand how they work, they are so much easier than working with decimals. And so we got an objective here. We got students will divide whole numbers by fractions. It's really an easy thing to do, and the suggested pacing says this is going to be a 2-day lesson, so y'all buckle up and hold on. We have a lot of stuff to learn today. Of course, you want to start off by writing the title 3-3, and then divide whole numbers by fractions. A typical 2-hour definition movie, a high definition movie, uses 2 gigabytes or 1/512th of a terabyte of memory. The information such as music or movies can be stored on servers that are not part of the computer's hard drive. This storage is referred to as a cloud. Now you guys have grown up in the world of cloud servers. This was a new concept for me. They've only really been around for the last, I don't know, 6-10 years, something like that. And I remember when I first heard of cloud servers, I said, why would anybody want to store their stuff all out on a cloud? Well, guess what? People are storing all their stuff out on the cloud now. Very little is kept on computer hard drives. So, suppose you knew that you had 3 terabytes of cloud storage. What quotient is the answer to a division problem. What quotient of the expression is 3 divided by 1/512 represent? These are the kind of things we're going to learn to do in today's lesson. Before we get too far into the lesson, we do need to get our definitions going. Here's one of them. It says that actually that's going to be 2 of them. 2 numbers whose products are 1 are called multiplicative inverses or reciprocals. When you see that on your vocab quiz, one of them is going to say also known as multiplicative inverses. The other one is going to say also known as reciprocals. And the other definition, the inverse property of multiplication, states that the product of a number and its multiplicative inverse is going to equal to 1. You need to add both of those definitions to your notes. So what does reciprocals actually mean? Well, let's look at it here with numbers. 2/3 times 3/2 is equal to 1. The definition of an inverse property of multiplication states that the product means to multiply, of a number 2/3 and its multiplicative inverse 3/2 is 1. There's the 1. That's an example of what we're talking about here. Using algebra to look at it, for every number a divided by b, those are just variables, they represent numbers, where a and b do not equal to 0, we'll get into why that has to be later, there is exactly one number, b divided by a, such that a divided by b times b divided by a is equal to 1. Don't get stressed out because we're throwing letters. That's no different, this thing here is no different than what we looked at right here. 2 over 3 times 3 over 2 equals 1. A over b times b over a equals 1. It's the same exact thing. So now they want us to take and find the reciprocal of 1/8, and it says select the find button. Select the button to find the reciprocal. So boom, we're going to find the reciprocal. Wow, that was so hard. Where it was 1/8, if you take and multiply 1/8 times 8/1, you get 1. So the reciprocal of 1/8 is going to be 8/1, also known as just 8. It really is that easy. So the reciprocal of 1/8 is going to be, let's put it in fraction form to keep it simple, 8/1. Accept, check our answer, and it checks. Wow, it really is that easy. Now you pause the recording and do this one on your own. Guys, this should take you you should be done by now. Really, it's that simple. Drag the correct answer that represents reciprocal of 1/3. Boop, done. Check the answer. It worked. It's that simple. 3 is also there, but we're not going to focus. 3/1 does equal 3, but well, I guess they want us to put that in there as well, so we can check them both. both of them are valid answers because 3 over 1 does simplify to be 3. They're both valid correct answers. Easy math. So what number multiplied by 3/4 has the product of 1? That's going to be your next question. And of course, the answer to that is going to be the reciprocal of 3/4, which is going to be 4 over 3. Hit accept. Check our answer. I mean, how much easier could you ask for this to be? And now it's going to be your turn. Pause the video. Solve the problem. Should take you like, I don't know, 2 seconds. Are you done? You should be done. The reciprocal, the number multiplied by 3 over 5 is the product of 1. It's the reciprocal. So what's it going to be? What's the reciprocal of 3 over 5? It is 5 over 3. Hit accept. Check our answer. Wow, that's so hard. Guys, this stuff is really easy. Don't worry, we're going to get some more challenging stuff coming though. It's coming, I promise. Now what if we wanted to find a reciprocal of a whole number? That's not really a challenge either. So to find the reciprocal of 5, all we have to do is write the 5 as a fraction, which you can see right here. The whole number 5 can be written as 5 over 1. We did it right there. And then from there, we're going to take and say, well, what's 5 over 1 times 1 over 5 is going to equal to 1. Therefore, the reciprocal is going to be 1 over 5. Hit accept. I said, let's try that again. 1 over 5. Hit accept and check our answer. Everything checks. The reciprocal of 5, that's 5 over 1. Flip it, 1 over 5. There really is nothing to it. It really is that simple. Okay, now it's your turn. Find the reciprocal of 11. Shall I take you a second to do? Are you done? Let's find out. First off, 11 is the same thing as 11 over 1, which is the same thing as 1 over 11. Now you could also read that as 1 and 11. Look at me. I apologize. It could be 1/11. And just for kicks and giggles, let's go ahead and break out our handy dandy pocket Satan here and divide. Nope, that is not what I wanted to get here. Let's try that again. Function, that button. There you go. Divide 1 by 11 and find out, does it equal to that? No, it does not. It equals to 0.99. So that's not going to be a valid answer. Only one valid answer for this one. Easy math, guys. Alright, enough of that silly simple stuff. It's time to dig in here and learn more about dividing whole numbers by fractions. The question asks, how is dividing whole numbers by fractions, similar to dividing whole numbers by whole numbers? Well, let's take a look at it. What does 4 divided by 2 mean, and how can you use the model to find the answer? That's a really good question. We're going to take and figure out how to use their model. So maybe, I don't know, I guess we could take and say, well, we've got these 4 pieces here, and we want to divide them into 2 equal sections. So, let me get a pen working here. Here I've got 1 section. Here I have 2 sections. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Well, that's pretty basic. I think we can take it a little deeper than that. So let's do it this way. Instead, we're going to take and say, oh, there they started showing us. 4, what does 4 divided by 1/2 mean, and how can you use it to find the model? Well, let's take a look here. First, they begin by separating the first bar by a half. They drew a line right here from the top to the bottom. Next, they did the same thing to all the other bars. So they took all the bars and cut them in half as well. So now you have 4 divided by 1/2. And how many pieces did you end up getting when you did that? Well, you count them up. You ended up getting 8 total pieces. So that's a totally different thing than we had when we divided the 4 by 2. 4 divided by 1/2 gave us 8 total pieces. If we were to take and divide 2 by 1/3, that means we need to take and put a line, vertical line through here and cut each one of those pieces into 3 equal pieces, just like that. So 2 divided by 1/3 gave us how many pieces? 3 pieces here, 3 pieces there. It gave us 6 pieces. Now this is all just a visual representation of how the problems can work. But it's really not the best way to do it. There's other ways to solve it, and I think they're fixing to teach us some of them. It says find 3 divided by 1/3, use any method, but be prepared to explain your answer. And you know what? I don't think they're actually going to teach us that. They did not teach us that, so we're not going to bother answering that question because I want to wait for them to actually teach you how to do this, because it's really simple when you know the right way. Make a conjecture about dividing a whole number by a unit fraction. How can you find the quotient without using a model? Let's wait and see. I think there's some good stuff coming. The next problem they give us is to divide 3 by 3/4. Now, this isn't as easy because when we're divided by half, we cut it into 2 half pieces. When we divide into third, we divide it into 3 even pieces. But now we're dividing by 3/4, and they want us to do a visual representation of what dividing 3 by 3/4 equals to. Well, to do that, first thing I think we're going to have to do is cut each one of these 3 pieces into 4 pieces. Yep, that worked, because that's the bottom number, that's the 4, so we need to divide each one of those into 4. But how many of these 4 pieces here are we going to use? We're going to use 3 of them. Now the numerator we were working with here was 3. The 4 told us how many pieces there were going to be in each one. The numerator we had was going to be 3, so when you shaded in your 3's, you had 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. How many sets of 3 did you have? You had 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 3. So the answer of 3 divided by 3/4 is actually going to be 4, a number bigger than 3. Now I know it's kind of confusing looking at it that way, but it really does make some good visual sense. Let's see what they have next for us. Now we're getting into some exciting stuff. It says you can use an equation to solve division problems involving whole numbers and fractions. Recall that multiplication and division are inverse operations. Inverse means opposite operations. So you can divide a whole number by a fraction by multiplying the whole number by the reciprocal of the fraction. And we're going to walk you through and let you see exactly what this means to do. So the very next step we're going to do, where you had 3 divided by 3/4, they took that 3 and made it into a 3/1 right here, divided by 3/4. So we're going to take our whole number and make it into an improper fraction in this step. And then the next thing we're going to have is multiply by the reciprocal. Now you've probably heard of this before as keep, change, flip, or keep, change. I don't remember whether somebody else is using a different word from flip. So what we did here is we kept the 3/1, we changed division to multiplication, and we flipped or took the reciprocal of 3/4, making it 4/3. All they did so far. Next thing we're going to do is hopefully simplify before we multiply, and that's exactly what they did. They said 3 went into 3 one times, 3 went into 3 one times, and now they're going to multiply. 1 times 4, that's what you see right here. 1 times 1, that's what you see right here. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 4, and 4/1 is of course going to be 4, which is the final answer you will circle. Really not that hard, and when we actually do it, I'm going to show you what my work would look like. So hold on for just a second. Alright, if this was me doing it, this is the way I would actually end up showing the work for my problem. I would start off by taking that 3, I'd write the original problem. You always have to write your original problem in your homework. I'd make that a 3/1, improper fraction. And then I would keep my first number, change division and multiplication, and take the reciprocal of my second number. From here I'm going to simplify. 3 goes into 3 once. I hate it when it does that. 3 goes into 3 once. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1, which 4/1 is equal to 4 for your final answer. That is showing your work. That is what I must see. I'm not going to make you show me all of that. That's crazy. This right here is all I need to see for showing your work so you can get credit for doing your homework. But make sure you start by writing the problem, because if you don't have your problem written, I won't be able to look at it and see if you're doing your work right, and I will reject it and make you do it over. Don't do that. Take that extra 2 seconds, write the original problem so I can see if you're doing your work right. I think this is a good place to end part 1. Come back in just a little bit and watch part 2, and we'll see where the rest of this lesson goes.